great aerial view of this track in the Eastern Ore Mountains outside of Dresden, Germany. We're in Altenberg, where they've been staging World Cups for over 30, to be exact. This is the 32nd time that the EBERSPÄCHER Luge World Cup is being held on this very challenging track. Second run of doubles coming up in just a few moments. One run, the race, the two Tobys, Vendel and Alt, looking for their 55th career World Cup victory. It's Austria in second place, Mueller and Frauscher, off of a podium last week in Sigulda. But it is the Latvians and the World Cup leaders, Martins Bats and Roberts Pluma, two newlyweds and two Olympic medalists in team relay. They are in first place, but the standings are tight. You'll see that in just a moment when we give you that second run start time. But right now, to tell you a little bit more about the conditions here in Altenberg, off of her fourth podium of the season earlier today in women's doubles, I'm pleased to reintroduce from Team USA, Sophia Kirkby. Sophia, welcome back.
Hello, everyone. I hope that you didn't miss me too much because I am back.
We missed you greatly, but fortunately, it was only 18 minutes, the break in between. So the track records were not threatened in run number one, but what made run number one interesting certainly was the fact, as you noted, the top five different nations.
Yeah, so we have a quite diverse top five, which is not very common, especially on a German track. Normally the Germans are sweeping, but we got Latvia, Austria, Germany, Italy, USA.
The only thing they've been sweeping today is the track with the light snowfall earlier today, but the conditions are pretty good. So once again, let's take a closer look at this track and some of the challenges with your tour guide, Sophie Kirkby.
Yeah, as we work with men's doubles, you can see they are not starting at the very top like men's singles do. Men doubles start going into curve 7. And they're off, or at least this is a demo that is explaining a rough simulation of what is happening when we are sliding. So the athletes are currently going through curve 8 and into curve 9. This curve is what's noted. It is either make or break. You come out on that right side, you can tap, you can start hitting, you can skidding. This is Kreisel. What means Kreisel is it is a curve that goes 360 degrees, a total loop around. This is 11 going into 12. Very calm curves, but they can get you. Then these are the coming up in the final curves. This is curve 15. Then it'll be followed by 16, and then the last curve is 17. You don't notice it, but this is the curve now. That transition was very small, but that is the transition of 16 and 17. And as you can see, there was a kind of like a white dome. That is the pad that Team Relay will be having to hit tomorrow in the race.
Yeah, I was just wondering about that. I was going to ask you to preview that, so that's great. As we get set with the 18 that qualified in run number 2, and as you look at these names, these nations, pay a particular attention to the right side of your screen, because when we get to page number 2 here, only 0.2 of a second separate places number 3 to places number 7. So the fight for the podium is on, and as we learned in run number 1, 0.2 of a second can happen with any tap of the wall, right?
You are so right, Tim.
Okay, so on what is basically the busiest day of the entire season on the EBERSPÄCHER Luge World Cup, 102 sleds have already come down in the 3 races. 18 remain. It's run number 2 of men's doubles. The Latvians will be first to go, followed by the Canadians and China. And is that Jessica right there?
That is Jessica. She doesn't know it, but she's on camera. Oh, she's turning around, but she was giving us a nice dance. That was Jessica Degenhardt, the silver medalist in women's doubles race earlier today. And it looks like we're about to start.
Yeah, we are ready to start. ALTENBERG and Boga. The interesting thing for me, which you can put no insight in, I'm sure whatsoever, is Boga, the bottom man, is a rarest of Latvians, his name does not end with the letter S. That's true with Robert Pluma also. I'll have to get to the bottom of that. Pair of teenagers, 19 years old. Go ahead.
Like you mentioned, this is a young doubles team. They haven't raced in too many World Cups so far, so I'm sure that they are very happy to make an appearance at the ALTENBERG, Germany World Cup. Here they are coming into curve 9. Like I mentioned, tough curve.
And they do it okay. Little correction there, but not bad.
All right, we'll see how this transition goes. Much better than earlier. That was very smooth, and I'm sure they're going to be happy with their performance because they seem to be pretty clean this run. Ooh, a little high, and feet are down.
Really fighting it all the way to the finish line, but getting a finish time, getting some World Cup points for the first time in their young career. Valderis and Jaksa of Latvia setting the course for run number 2. 126.261 is their combined time for the 2 runs.
Yeah, they didn't look too happy coming up, but I'm hoping that they are at least happy that they had the opportunity to perform here in a World Cup, which they don't often get to do.
One down, we go back to the top of the track. Canada skipped last week's racing in Sigulda, Latvia, as they extended their holiday break with some extra runs on the track in Whistler, where we'll be in exactly 1 month for the World Championships. Devin Wardrobe, Cole Zajanski, 17th place after run number 1, part of a dying breed of Canadian lugers, that being lugers from the city of Calgary.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they got some great training out in Whistler, which is now their home track, now that Calgary is no longer in operation. That's where the other Canadian track was. Whistler is hosting the World Championships this year, so I'm sure they are happy that they get to have a home advantage on such an important race.
Well done. Their finish time, 42.584. That's about 4/10 of a second faster than their first run, with about the same position in the start order.
Yeah, they had a great improvement. They really took their first run and they said, here's what we do to clean it up. And they did majority of that, except for that feet tap right there.
They have finished 13th, 13th, and 14th in the 3 World Cups that they did take part in to open up the season. Let's see if they can move up a few spots here. Split times are pretty tight between this team and the next to go, but then they'll have to have a little help to move up farther than that. China, Sakaya, Zubaye, Choi Hui, 24 years old, both of them. 16th place after run number 1. Not sure if we'll see China at the relay tomorrow. We have seen Chinese athletes in some of the Chinese teams in some of the relays. I don't remember a men's singles entrant, at least in the World Cup, but hopefully we'll see them tomorrow. The World Cup, Sophie, will end in Korea and then in China. Have you been to either of those 2 tracks?
Personally, Siobhan and I have never been to the Asian tracks before. Unless, do you count Sochi an Asian track? I don't know if that's on the European or the Asian side.
Very much Europe.
Okay, well then, yeah, we have never been to the Asian tracks, but we look forward to it when the day comes.
Yeah, so you're not experienced on those tracks, but there's got to be this level of excitement when you see a brand new luge track, because there frankly just aren't a lot of them in the world.
For sure, and we'll have to get that ready under our belts because next year, potentially, there might be a new Olympic track if Italy can finish their construction. If not, then Plan B has been announced as Lake Placid, New York, my home track, which I also would not mind.
No, I'm sure you wouldn't. You could go home and have some home cooking in between races. I don't believe Tail of the Pup will be open yet, but still being home is nice.
Romania, please prepare
Romania,
next.
Kondelek and Mocha,
is clear.
23 years old, 22nd or 22 years old. 15th place after run number 1 for this Romanian team. They hold that spot. This will be their best result this season. They had a 16th in Innsbruck.
9,4,5 beim Start. Jetzt eine 5,903.
Ooh, they came out nice and clean out of curve 9. We'll see how their entrance is into Kreisel. It sounded clean. However, they are looping, and by looping, I mean they're going up and down in the curve more than they should. But it seems like the rest of it is coming to be a clean run. Hopefully they can
With
carry that momentum.
The uniforms that you love so much, they fall behind by 1,000th of a second at that second to last stoppage of the clock.
Yeah, unfortunately, the fashion just doesn't help you with aerodynamics. I wish it did.
Well, what about the psychological aspect? If you feel fast, you'll go fast.
That is a great way. Sorry, that is a great way to think about that.
Exactly. Right, still in the early going here in run number 2 at the Sachen Energy Ice Canal in Altenberg, Germany. Poland getting ready at the top. Wojciech Chmielewski, Jakub Kowalewski. They have really been the men's doubles entrant for Poland for about 8 years now on the World Cup. So Poland has the representation in every discipline, if not the depth.
A very strong team. These guys have years of experience under their belts. They've known this track for quite some time. They've taken hundreds of runs, even though it's a German track. Ooh, oh, a little bit of tapping. And an interesting entrance into Kreisel. You could hear there was a bit of skidding, and when you have skid, that means time. But they are seeming to be clean.
Season best 7th place finish last week in Sigulda. That was very good for this team, who falls into the red behind China. And Sophie, those were probably the mistakes earlier, finally catching up to the clock.
Yeah, like you said, this is a sport filled with momentum. What starts is what you're going to be finishing with. So if you have a bad start, you're not going to be going too fast as you carry out through the track.
And you mentioned this is a Germany track, but by far, this is the track in the world closest to Poland. Not sure if it's their home track, though.
I'm not sure if it's their home track either. Geographically, it would make sense, but not everyone is just wanting to come to Altenberg to train and hang out. Oh, but the crowd is very happy. Oh, there's the Polish. Great to have some local supporters.
Probably, I mean, we're very close to the Czech Republic, about a 10-minute drive, but not more than a couple of hours from Altenberg is the border with Poland. Now Slovakia has pulled out of this race. We're just getting word that Baverjek and Sami, who were scheduled to go next, they are not starting. So Šević, Miklišević, and Kras, the second of the 3 Latvian teams, now on course.
Damn, I wonder what happened to the Slovakian team. They didn't seem to have too bad of a run, so I wonder if they have any problems that they just didn't make any better in the first run they had.
Right, well, our sources, our media helpers, Uta and Margit, if either of you are listening right now, if you want to give us an update, that'd be great. Be interesting to know why they're not competing. Meantime, these Latvians are well out in front. I've just been told by Bomi there was a problem with the sled from the Slovakians. So the Latvians cross in the lead, 125.150, and they hold the lead over China and Canada. So a sled problem forced Slovakia from running in the second heat, but we should see them tomorrow no, we won't see them in the relay. No singles competitors.
That's really unfortunate, especially since it's not you that's the problem. It's unfortunately your equipment, and that's sad that they did not get their second run here.
Yeah, so thanks for that update. Technical defect with the sled. It's a little vague, but still important to know why they dropped out. So now we make our way to the top 11 after run number 1. And the Italian team of Emanuel Rida, Simone Keinswaldner. These are two former singles athletes, former youth Olympians. And they've had podium finishes over the years. Not a great start this year, with their best result being in 8th place in Innsbruck.
Yeah, this Italian team has not been performing as I expected. I expected them to be higher up in the rankings, but it seems to be that they're having a nice clean run, which I'm hoping that they can take some happiness from that. A little bit of problems going into 12 and an interesting entrance into 13, but now they seem to be back online. These guys should be happy that next year the Olympics will be in Italy, and hopefully their construction will be complete, because then they will have a true home advantage.
Well, they will, as you put it, take some happiness away here, because they take over the lead, and they do it by a wide amount over Latvia and China. What's your word not only on the Italian track's preparedness? Do you know if they're ahead of schedule on that one? And if so, do you know anything about the track, what the challenges will be for the Olympics?
As far as I'm aware, the Italian athletes has been telling me that they are on track and they are doing great with schedule. So that's all I can take away from it, and I'm hoping that it's true and that we're on great track for the next Olympics being hosted in Italy next year.
Cortina d'Ampezza, Italy, one of the most beautiful spots in the world. Great rock climbing there, but also great action on the track. The bobsled races there used to be among the most exciting. Now, the doubles team from Austria, who finished second at the World Championships on this track last year. Thomas Stoy, Wolfgang.
Yeah, Thomas Stoy and Wolfgang Kindl. They did not have a great first run. That is why they are sitting in 10th, which is not that's not normally their position that they are. These guys are so fast. However, they did have troubles. So we'll see if they can climb in ranks or if they're going to stay where they are.
Their lowest finish this year, a 4th, to go along with 3 podiums.
Yeah, that's to show how interesting that first run was and what the difference was compared to their normal standings.
Now they're putting it together here in run number 2 with a 0.3 of a second advantage to the finish line. They open that up to nearly a half second. So Stoy and Kindl acquit themselves pretty well here. I believe a 4th podium will be a bit of a long shot, but they could move up 1 or 2 spots in the standings here in run number 2.
Yeah, they put an extra 4/10 in the bank. We'll see how much they are going to be behind. It's not too far of a margin compared to who got first place, but the next couple sleds, there's only about a 10th difference between 10th and 8th.
That's right. So a good run, you would expect that for run number 2. You usually don't get two dogs by the Austrians. So now we have the first of 2 Americans in the top 10 in today's race. Zach DiGregorio, Sean Hollander, Di Gregorio, originally from Massachusetts. Both of them now make their home in Lake Placid, where the second World Cup of the season will be held next year, and where they won the World Cup race the last time the tour visited upstate New York.
Very strong athletes. They are very strong at the start from our training facility that we have in Lake Placid, New York. And just like that, 500s they have now on Stoikendal. I'm hoping that they can carry that momentum down. Now they did have that little skid, if you heard it, in curve 9, and it shows now with time. Hopefully they can grab that back and they can get ahead of Stoikendal.
8,000s is now 1,500s. This is going to be hard pressed to move out in front and hold their position with the Austrians, but a top 2 still looks pretty realistic.
Yeah, unfortunately they're just leading. Let's see how much. Okay, they're in second.
They hang on by 8,000ths of a second over Italy, but well in back of Stoy and Kindle, who just from the basis of that, we thought maybe the Austrians would move up 1 or 2 spots, but they could move up even more.
Potentially. They did have a great second run. However, they do have that sandbag of a first run that they had, so that is going to be what's holding them back from climbing up too many spots.
2 runs combined time. We remind you of that all of the time. They don't start fresh here in the second heat. So you have to put 2 together. At the Olympics, 4 together. Think of it as a golf tournament. 1 round, you shoot 80, you're out. Now, Orlamunder and Gubitz, the first of 3 teams from Germany here in the top 8. A pair of 25-year-olds who a couple of weeks ago won on the World Cup for the second time in their career, for the first time in a 2-run World Cup race. Their other victory came in a sprint.
A strong young doubles team from Oberhof, Germany, or at least that is where their home base is. This is not their home track, however, they do have some of the most runs here of all the people in their area. So hopefully they can put a great run down.
Speaking of German tracks, we had someone write in earlier to ask if they would be sliding again in Königssee, and the answer is yes. They are finishing up construction of that track, and it's on the schedule for next season, right before the Olympic Games.
And just like that, Stoikendal move up yet again by quite amount of time.
Yeah, we're starting to get a sense, as I mentioned a moment ago, of how good that run was for Austria. At least run number 2. This looked pretty decent, didn't it?
It was an all right run. As you can see, out of 9, they had a little tippy tap, but they kept it back online. They seem to be happy with their run. They have a little bit of a smile on their face, a nice wave, and some spectators to cheer them on.
Indeed. Just as surprising as Stoy and Kindle being in 10th in run number 1 was this pair being in 7th. Gott and Schuff owned this track last season with a win in the all-important World Championships, followed by a victory in the World Cup.
I could be wrong, but it looks like they just blazed through a patch of snow at the start. I wonder if that came in with wind or if, oh, never mind, there's problems. Oh, that's a lot of problems, actually. A lot of taps. That's going to be unfortunate. That will affect their overall time for sure. I just wonder how much that's going to put them back now.
A huge amount. What a difference a year makes. They dominated here in Altenberg last year. They'll be hard-pressed to be in the top 10 this year, and they had a legitimate shot to move into the medals.
You're so right. Let's see how much they bled. They went back 9 positions. Wow. Wow.
We still have another Austrian sled to come in podium position, but this is the first time all season that the Austrians have been quiet, at least in the men's races.
Yeah, normally these Austrians are like wolves. They are fierce and they come in packs. But this time, their pack is a bit spread out. That's what ALTENBERG could do to you.
Love the analogy, Sophie. That's great. We have the top 6 now as Wolfie and Thomas have hung in that leader zone for a while. Here's Tony Jaegert. After a year off coaching, Tony's back. He was a 54-time World Cup champion and 2-time Olympic medalist with Sasha Benniken, doing pretty well with his brand new doubles partner, 13 years his junior, Florian Mueller. They're currently in 2nd in the World Cup standings, top 5 in every race so far.
Yeah, they just recently gave away that yellow World Cup leader bib. They didn't do as... Yep, you're right. The Latvians took it. We had a World Cup in Sigulda, Latvia last week, and the Latvians did great. These guys didn't do as great, so they had to give up that bib. Okay, not too much noise. That's good. We don't like noise. Noise means time. These guys are coming out smooth and bringing it over to 11. Great 11-12. They should be happy with that.
This could open things up with the split times if they stay in the green, but they don't. That is surprising because there weren't a lot of problems.
No, they were not having that many problems. Oh my God, into 3rd. Well, Stoy and Kindle seem to be happy, as they should be. They are climbing up in the ranks.
Indeed they are. As a teammate, Sophie, of the next team to go from the United States, is there any concern about this track slowing down? Because from what we saw, Tony and Florian looked to be on their way to a leading run.
They did have a great run, however, from an athlete perspective, they did have little mistakes here and there. Like as you can see, going into 13, they chipped some ice and they changed their direction. That costs time. They had little things like that happening in their run, but 2/10, that's just a fast Austrian sled that did that. And skill.
Now the second of 2 Americans, 5th place after run number 1, Marcus Mueller and Ansel Haugshaw. They're still looking for their first top 5 in their World Cup career, but they are junior world champions. They did win 3 Nations Cup races earlier this year. They're generally fast from start to finish if they keep it clean.
Yeah, boys, they got 2/10 right now in the bank. Hopefully they can bring that down. A little bit of a tap out of 9, but that's no sweat. They just need to keep it clean. It looks like they're bleeding sometime. Stoy and Kindle did have a really good second run.
No doubt, the Austrians were possibly unstoppable down at the bottom. This is going to be tight. They've given up half the lead.
Oh, feet down, that might have been it, unfortunately. Oh, and that was it. They're in the red now.
It will be a 2nd place, 3rd place. So they fall behind Austria and Germany. It will be the top American placing, but the question right now is, will it be any better than 7th place, as Mueller and Haugshaw drop a couple of spots here in run number 2.
Yeah, as my teammates, that was unfortunate for me to see. I was really hoping that they were going to keep their position and place 5 or even do better or even get on podium, but it just didn't happen. Kindle and Stoy, they were fast.
There's your review. Thumbs down, we see that a lot. And these guys have ridden an elevator much longer than we expected. And now Stoy and Kindle are knocking on the door, a couple of spots away potentially from a podium. But the Italians certainly will hope to have something to do with that. Nagler and Malaya, the last to go from Italy. Earlier today, Dominic Fischnaller captured a podium for Team Italy. That was huge, as it was the first of the season for the Italians outside of the relay. Let's see what Nagler and Malaya can do. They went early in run number 1 and had the top spot for a while.
Oh, and there's some troubles.
Nice finish.
I think they do have 3/10 to work with, but Stoy and Kindle have proven that they were able to take the okay, yeah, there it is. They're in the red. We'll see how much that trails back. That was a lot of bad hits out of 9, and I'm hoping that they're gonna stay in at least top 10, but they're bleeding.
No, those early mistakes, especially that 9-10 transition all day, has proven to be so caught. The trick, as you know, Sophie, when you have that early mistake, is to maintain your composure and stay relaxed the rest of the way. And they did okay on the bottom part.
Yeah, they did okay on the bottom part, but unfortunately, it just doesn't matter. They could have been perfect the way down. Unless you have rockets in the back of your sled, they just lost that speed up top and they can't gang it too much. Stoy and Kindle look happy, or at least Kindle did for a second.
I think Stoy was just shaking his head of the misfortune of his Italian friends. But meantime, those two Austrians have moved from second place to no worse than the 5. Actually, no worse than the top 4, as we have the two Tobys. Now again, I set the stage almost every week, but history could be in the making. Last week, Wendell and Alt won for the 54th time on the World Cup. A win here or anywhere else will put them #1 all-time with career victory number 55. They did struggle in the World Cup race last year in Altenberg with a 16th place result, but they were on the podium at the World Championship.
Great exit, as these guys are Germans. It's not their home track, but it should be one of their home tracks because they do have an advantage over other countries here in Germany. They seem to be doing well.
Yeah, I would say 3600s. Mistakes can happen anywhere, but this is a team less likely to make one.
They have lost a little bit of time from Stoy Kindle, but I don't think that will affect their 3rd place ranking.
They did lose some time, as Sophie just said, but it is another race, another podium for the Bayer Express. Wendell and Alt from Germany. They are one sled away from a potential 55th World Cup victory, and only 0.05 of a second separate this German team with the Latvian sled waiting at the top.
Just to correct you, we actually have 2 more sleds left. Tobias Wendell
right.
and Tobias R are currently ranked 3rd after the first run, and now they can do no worse than 3rd as overall as this World Cup proceeds.
Yeah, I like that. Your first time out, and you feel confident enough to correct me. Thank you so much, Sophie, because we blew off the Austrian sled totally, right? I did. Mueller and Frauscher. So they have a chance to be on the podium for the 2nd weekend in a row. They had a good showing last week in Segulda.
Yeah, these guys will be competing against Wendell Art and their other teammates, Stoy and Kindle. They do have some time to work with, but they only have half a tenth, which is 500ths, which is a foot down, which is a slight tap on the wall, and just like that, they're already back in the red. This is going to be a close race because they are just 39 thousandths off of them. Let's see if they can find the time. These guys have great equipment. The Austrians are known to be fast and find time, as they are. They're gaining speed and they're gaining time, or should I say losing time.
Indeed. Well, they are within 4 thousandths of a second, definitely trending in their direction, now in the green.
What? That was a last second. Crazy. What?
Sophie Kirkby says it all. Red to green to red to green, and then finally red. The Germans hope for World Cup win number 55 stays alive. This Austrian team will be on the podium for the 2nd week in a row. But how tight was that? 8 thousandths of a second.
I did not notice that. They caught some air at the start. They hit that curve way too early, and that definitely cost them some time. If they didn't do that, they might have been walking away with a silver medal at least. However, like crazy, that was such a last-second loss into 2nd place.
4 races so far this season on the EBERSPÄCHER Luge World Cup Tour in men's doubles. 3 of them won by the 3 German teams, 1 by the Latvians. And it is Martins Bats and Roberts Plume leading the way. They took over the World Cup lead last week on their home track. They have a win and 2 second-place finishes this year, and they hold about a 1/10 of a second advantage over the leading Germans down at the bottom. Sophia, as we've learned today, a 1/10 of a second means very little unless you're perfect from top to bottom.
You're so right. They need to have a great run in order to keep their position as first place holders. Let's see how that exit is. A little tiny tap, but it wasn't that bad as they're now going into Kreisel, the curve that goes 360 degrees. As you can see, they have a colorful red, yellow, blue bib. That means they are the current World Cup leaders, which means they are great at what they're doing, and they're gonna show you pretty soon what their skills are if they're able to pull out another first place podium.
1/10 of a second now. They've lost nothing to the Germans from top to this point. If they're clean, they're on podium, and they are. Second fastest run of the second heat. I'm sure the fastest was probably Stoy and Kindle, but a race victory, number 2 on the season for Latvians, Martins Bats and Robert Plume. Germany in second, Austria in third and fourth.
Look at that bromance, that love. We love to see it. They are so happy, as they should be. They just got another gold medal. On top of that, this is not their home track. This is a German track. These guys don't get to have the performance that they have as Germans, or maybe even Austrians do, with getting the amount of runs they have in their career total. But look at that. They threw it down. Love to see that.
Exit of 9, a little correction, right? But
they had a great correction. But yes, they didn't have a perfect line, but that just shows that Bats is a great top man. He identified that problem and he quickly corrected it. Here's the Latvians cheering. They're so happy. I love it. I love it all. And as you can see, that is where the pad will be tomorrow. That white dome, that's where people are going to be hitting a pad for Team Relay. Now, Team Relay is normally discretionary with what teams will be representing each category. However, I'm sure Bats Plume, with the performance that they just threw down, they will be in tomorrow for men's doubles category.
Yeah, no question about it. And Krister Zapriots had another good race earlier today in men's singles. Of course, 2 top 5s for the women's doubles in Latvia. They'll be tough to beat tomorrow, or tough at least to beat onto the podium. Bats Plume take it over Germany, Austria. Then it is another German team, the USA's top finish in 6th, as well as 8th place. In fact, the top 10 are all of the powerful nations of Latvia, Germany, Austria, Italy, and the United States. So this is a great story, the sport of luge. What's fun about this, Germany and Austria are the powers, but Latvia is right there with them, Sophia. And this is a country so much smaller, so less decorated in the entire sports world, but they certainly make their notice in the sliding sports, don't they?
They sure do, especially since Latvia is not that big of a country. As far as I'm aware, it's a population of 2 million. So they, out of 2 million, now that is a lot of people, but you need to find good athletes compared to, let's say, a country like Germany, who has a population of 85 million. And look at that. They have had some of the best athletes representing Latvia.
Einars Vogelis, a Latvian himself, the president of the International Luge Federation. He just gave out those flowers. You get or the teddy bears here. It looks like rabbits. You get teddy bears in some spots. You get chocolate. What's your preference, Sophie?
I like me some chocolate. I can eat it and it's delicious, especially when it comes from Europe. When I won gold in Norway, they gave us some chocolates and that stuff was like butter and milk. It was delicious.
Beautiful. Top 10 results, as you see. Latvia extends its lead a little bit. How about Toby Vendel and Toby Arlt? still going strong after all of these years, and they still have the opportunity to make a run at a World Cup overall title. That would be their fourth. Recapping our top three on this exciting finish. Austria finished third and fourth, with third place for the second weekend in a row, going to the team of Mueller and Frauscher. Second place to the two Tobys. Another week, another podium for the six-time Olympic gold medalists in doubles and team relay. But the victory for Bots and Plume, that is career win number 8 for them. That's second only to Vendel and Alt among athletes that are active teams, I should say. Looking to get some interview action coming your way in just a second as the athletes make their way to Patrick for our winning interviews. Always a little bit of a guessing game here as we wait for the interviews. Sometimes the local TV crews are doing the live coverage. Here we go.
Here, very challenging track. How do you feel after this performance?
I'm really happy about the third place again, like last week in Sigulda, and we didn't like the track so much so far, but now I guess we like it.
What was the challenging part for you here?
For us, especially the start curve. We're always struggling with the start curve and curve 9, but yeah, we're happy.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Indeed they are, with another podium for this Austrian team just ahead of their teammates Stoy and Kohler. Second place went to the two Tobys, Vendel and Alt, their third weekend in a row on the podium, with 2 more races still to come here in Germany. But let's hear from the winning Latvians.
Guys, congratulations, what a run here today. After second place last week, how do you feel about your performance here today?
I mean, it was a rough week for us. If we are honest, these two were only good runs this week. Yeah, we are very surprised, but really happy. It's great to bounce back and be back to the top. Looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Sophie, if you're only going to have 2 good runs in a week, they may as well be the race runs, right?
You're so right. Siobhan and I, we did not have the best runs this week. We had some decent runs, but it was a little scary because in the seated training yesterday, which is where we only have 1 run, we ping-ponged hard, meaning we hit left and right walls out of curve 9, the hard curve, and we were in last place of that seated training run. So it was great, like these guys, to pull out another or at least 2 clean, fast runs for race day where it actually matters.
Still waiting on the Germans. That could happen at any time. But you go. We'll wish you the best of luck tomorrow on the team relay. And again, congratulations on another podium earlier today.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you for having me here. Audience, I hope that I wasn't too much for you, and I look forward to having you guys again.
Quickly down to
guys,
the Germans.
Congratulations for the podium here. Very challenging track for you. How was it for you?
Yeah, it was very exciting today. It was cold. The wind was pretty hard, and the ice was a little bit slippery. Yeah, but we are happy we made it. We had the best start time 2 times, and yeah, we are happy about our race and how it ends, and we are second place. That's great here. Thank you.
Congratulations to the Tobys, still going strong after all of these years. Never is there a week where these 2 great veterans aren't in the hunt for the podium. 120 sleds down, 3 different races won by 3 different nations, Austria, Germany, and Latvia. What will tomorrow bring? Well, we'll find out then. We hope you join us. We've got women's singles that will be followed by the team relay to conclude what has already been a pretty action-packed weekend of World Cup Luge here in Altenberg. For my broadcast partner, Sophia Kirkby, and our entire FIL television crew, I'm Tim Singer saying so long from Altenberg, and thanks so much for joining us.